Hey everybody, thanks for joining me today. I'm Brother Joe here at Altona, and I want to take a little bit of time and talk about balance. I think one of the struggles in the Christian walk today is this line of being a person full of grace and being a legalist. And you encounter it all the time. And the ones that stick out in your mind are not the ones doing it right. The ones that stick out in your mind are the people that are going, oh, it's okay. Everything's okay. It's all forgiven. We just need to all love each other and coexist and just respect wherever everybody's coming from. And then there's the other side of that that's like, you've got to do it my way. It's if you walk 322 steps on the Sabbath, you're sinning. It's 321. That's the limit. And you have to cut your hair this way. You have to dress this way. You have to... And in between there is this place of balance where we know the laws and the regulations and the rules that God has, and we understand what grace is. And to do that, I want to take a time that I broke the rules and didn't get in trouble, not because I didn't get caught. My parents gave me a curfew, and I, being who I was on schedule to be home at curfew. I was going to pull up into the parking lot and hit the door. I think it was at 11 o'clock or whatever time my parents had told me to be home. And as I was on my way home, there was a car that had slid off the road, and all I could see was its taillights sticking out of the fence down into the ditch on the right-hand side of the road. And I pulled over and I checked on them, and it was one of our neighbors, and they'd fallen asleep in their car. And so I didn't get home until well after 12 o'clock. This was before cell phones and before I could just jump on a phone and call somebody for help. So I wound up helping them get their car out of the ditch and struggling, and they'd busted a hole in the radiator. So we just didn't start their car. We pulled it home. They were fine. They were uninjured, but their car was messed up, and they trying to get home. So anyway, I get home. I come in the door at 12:30, and my father is there to let me know how much trouble I'm in. He has, as the rule keeper and enforcer, probably because my mom told him he had to, he is awake and ready to, he's got to go to work, got to be up at 6 to go to work, and here he is. He's been up till well after midnight waiting on this son to come home from whatever trouble he was in. And I say, hey, Dad, and I tell him who it was and what happened and explain it, and his countenance changes. I've broken the rule. The rule was 11 o'clock, and I've broken it. I've blasted that way into oblivion. But Dad also understands not only are the rules are there as guides to help us along, they're guardrails to keep us from trouble. Nothing good happens after midnight. Those guardrails are there to protect us, but sometimes we have to cross those guardrails to help someone else. Sometimes we have to cross those guardrails because of what's going on this side. There are times, and so what we have to do is understand the rule. We need to know the legal system, the legalities of it well enough to know when it's okay to break the rules. I wasn't in trouble that time. I broke the rules, but I wasn't in trouble because the rules were there not as a concrete line, but as a guide, and Dad and my father understood why I was out past that and what I was doing. And in our Christian walk, when we see people, is it better to dress and present yourself in a presentable way so that you're socially adept and that it doesn't push people away? Absolutely. Is that the main thing people need to hear from the church? We need to be walking around going, I actually have pastored a church a mile down the road from a church that they had people standing in their parking lot, measuring, making sure women's dresses were over their knees, making sure that that men's hair wasn't touching their collar. When they had revivals, they had people in the parking lot with cover dresses for the women that didn't show up dressed appropriately, and guys there to help cut hair for men that showed up without appropriate haircuts. That's not what we need to present up front. Those are things we can teach. We can guide people to be in this place where they no longer build barriers in their life and in their relationships by the way they present themselves. But that doesn't need to be the upfront. That's not legal. The rule there that the way we dress and the way we present ourselves can make relationships harder or easier. That's a rule, and it's a good one, but that's not the main thing. We need to keep the main thing about Jesus Christ, His love, His grace, His forgiveness available for all that would ask. We need to keep that the main thing and allow the rules to guide us and grace to define us. That's the easiest way I can think to put it. This is a tough subject that I could talk about for 45 minutes, and I'm just not going to tie you up that long today. I appreciate you spending a little time with me. I hope you'll comment, ask me some questions, throw a place in there where you think maybe we need a little more rules and we're too lax, or we need a little more grace and we're too tight. I'd love to just see your comments about church in general today, not necessarily our church, but church and life in general, or the culture around us. I'm Brother Joe. I hope I get to see you one Sunday.